Hi everyone, Gary here with part 3 of the Amiga 3000 assembly project. So if you've seen the other videos, you would have seen me assemble the motherboard into the chassis here and install the power supply chassis and a floppy disk drive. So next thing to do is to install the riser card so that we can plug in. I've got an IDE interface here so that I can plug in an IDE hard drive, and so first of all we just put this little insulating sheet here, stop the riser card from shorting there on the board, and then just slot that down like so. Give that a good firm push down to locate it, like that. It's looking good there. And then install the IDE adapter. Like so, and I've just got a standard IDE cable plugged into the board there, pin 1 down this side, so I've got the red stripe down this side here. So one of the first things that needs to be done is to prepare the hard drive. So here I've got a 4GB IDE hard drive. Jumper's set to master, and I'm going to use this neat little USB to IDE slash SATA adapter. So what we'll do here is this USB cable here is plugged into my Windows 8 PC, and just plug that into the SATA connector there, and we're going to line up the stripe with pin 1 on the drive, which is the pin 1's down here closest to the power socket there. Plug that in. Power adapter here, and let's hit the on switch. I've no idea what the state of this drive is. I picked it up from a recycle centre, so it could be completely toast for all I know. But anyway, so first thing that I do with these drives is clear them. So completely wipe them, and I do that just using Windows 8 command prompt disk. It's called disk part. So yeah, I'm sure you can do it on Linux as well. I'll show you the commands I use for disk part. So at a command prompt, you just load disk part, and it brings up another window here. And then you want to list disk, and that brings up a list. Okay, now you need to be really careful here because you can end up deleting your system drive or data drives, whatever you might have attached to your computer that you're doing this from. So I know for a fact that one of the drives I don't want to delete is a 465GB drive there. And I've got a couple of 240s and a 1TB drive, and I can see there that disk 4 is 3783 megabytes, so that's 4 gigabytes, which is exactly what the disk is that I've got plugged in there. So the next command is select disk 4, and it says there disk 4 is now the selected disk, and if you go back up to list disk, you'll notice there that there's a asterisk beside disk 4, which means that's the current disk. So now when I run clean, it will clean the drive. Okay. And we're back to the DOS prompt there. Still not sure if I will be able to see it in the disk management. Let's try to initialize it. No errors. Unallocated. Yeah, still doesn't like it. I'm just going to go ahead and try and install an Amiga OS to this drive. It's not making any strange noises that I can hear straight off. It seems to be running okay. You wouldn't know until you did a proper test. I think probably the only way to really fully test this drive would be to install it in an actual computer with an IDE adapter rather than using the USB interface. I think that might be causing a problem here. So I'll load up the Amiga and attach the drive. Okay, so I'm going to plug the IDE hard drive. This is the Caviar 34000 here. 4 GB this driver, so line up the stripe here to pin 1 on the data cable, and then just power there. Just going to temporarily set that there, and now ready to start the installation. Okay, time to fire it up. Okay, so I've booted the computer there and we're at the Kickstart menu. To install an operating system you need a few things, or a few disks actually. I've got a Super Kickstart disk there, version 3.1. Now that gets the system to the familiar boot screen. So we need that. You also need a bunch of install disks for version 3.1, and you also need a file, Kickstart file, to copy into the hard drive, into the devs folder. So that are the main things you need for this. So first of all, I'll insert the Super Kickstart disk. And here we're at the familiar boot screen for the Amiga. Next is Amiga Workbench 3.1. Install disk, disk 1. So I'm removing the Super Kickstart, installing the install disk, so it'll boot from the Workbench 3.1 install disk. Okay, and the first thing is to detect and configure the partitions for the hard drive and then format them. So let's go ahead and do that. HD toolbox, under the HD tools on the disk. Okay, and I've detected this previously, but I'll show you how to do that. So change drive type. It's picked up a disk here that's not related to what I've got installed at the moment. This looks like a Seagate drive of some sort. I'm going to find new and read the configuration, so it picks up the drive configuration. Now I know this is a Western Digital Caviar drive, so WDC, it's picking up the cylinders, the heads and the blocks per track there. It's not reading this correctly, the size, but I tend to ignore that. I just carry on and everything seems okay. If I just click OK here, I need to unwrite protect my disk. Just a second. I guess it needs to write that down to the floppy. Okay, so here's the Western Digital drive here. So click OK, that's selected there at the moment. Are you sure you want to change the drive type? Yes. It's also a little bit misleading too, because the drive types pick up as SCSI even though I'm using an IDE disk here, so just continue on that anyway. Okay, so there's the drive there. If we partition the drive, you can see that it's set up a couple of partitions here already, but I don't want those default partitions. I'm going to resize this down to around 100 megabytes. That's actually 120 megabytes just off the side of the screen there. And this is really important for the Amiga 3000 type machines that need the super kickstart to boot. You need to have the device name as WB Workbench underscore 2.x. That's an enter on that. That's really important. Otherwise, you'll see also an error on startup. Basically, it just won't work. You can go into the advanced options, into the max, and change the max transfer here. I've seen on the Compact Flash installation YouTube videos that are very good on YouTube. You can take a look at those. They changed the max transfer there. There's some sort of bug. I'm not going to do it on this installation because I'm probably just not going to keep this one long. It's just for demonstration only. Okay, so that's our first partition. We go new partition here, click in the free space, 1.7 gigabytes, that's fine. I'm going to change that to DH1, enter there. Make sure you hit enter after changing any of these settings, otherwise the setting doesn't hold. Not bootable, that's fine. If I click this other partition here, I can go ahead and rename that DH2, enter. Okay, so just check that. First partition, Workbench underscore 2.x, that's fine. DH1, DH2, click OK, save the changes, exit. Now, those partitions that I've created are not visible there until I do a reboot. So I'm going to reboot with the install disk still on the drive. Now I don't have to put the Super Kickstart disk in again because that's already loaded into memory as long as I do a soft boot, Control Amiga. If I did a hard boot, turned the machine off physically and turned it back on, I would need to put in the Super Kickstart disk to reload that into memory and start from scratch again. But in this case I don't have to, so I'm just Control Amiga to restart. It'll boot from the install disk. Okay, it's picked up on the Workbench disk, DH1. Let's go ahead and format this. This will be the system disk. I'm going to give it the same name, WB underscore 2.x. I'm not going to bother about the trash can. last time I did it I took international mode off. Can't quite remember what that's for, but anyway, I'm going to do a full format. I'm doing a full format because it's recommended to do so, and the if you do take a look at some of the YouTube videos around that relate to installing Workbench on a compact flash card to use in a compact flash to IDE adapter for the Amiga 600 and the Amiga 1200, they recommend that you fully format the system drive, not just a quick format. So I'm just following along with those instructions, same here. So okay, so that's the system disk there formatted. I'll quickly do DH1, format that. I'll call that games and quick format that one. Okay, so now the system's ready to install the operating system, so I'll go ahead and do that. Install here. This is still the install disk for 3.1. English. Okay. Installing to a hard drive. Complete install. Intermediate. Proceed. Install for real. No log. Now this is asking us where we want to install it. This caught me out first time I did it, because if you read carefully here, do you want to install release 3.1? Basically on install 3.1 partition, which is actually the floppy drive, and yeah, I wondered why the drive was filling up, because it was actually writing the installation to the floppy disk. It didn't read this properly. So anyway, no, we want to show the drive. Workbench underscore 2.x, that's correct. Proceed. English in this case. I'm not going to bother about a printer. Keymat I think is fine by default. It's the American keymat. And it's asking for the system 3.1 Workbench system disk, so I'm just going to install that in my second drive here. And while it's doing that, I'll install disk 3 in the built-in floppy drive. Okay, it's finished with disk 2 there, so I'm going to remove disk 2. Oh, maybe not. Insert disk extras. Okay. Yep. So I'm going to remove disk 2 and put extras in disk 4. And I'm removing disk 3 and putting in disk 5 to get ready for the next request there. It'll ask for disk 5, which is fonts, I think. Yeah. Okay, so the install's finished there. Now, what has to be done now before we reboot is I've inserted the disk with the kickstart file on it. So this is the floppy disk with the kickstart. Now that has to be copied into the devs folder, so and that's required for booting the hard drive, so just copy that into there. Okay, I think that's done. Yep, there it is there. Okay, so I think we're ready to go, so eject the disks from the floppy drives. Click proceed and it will do a soft reboot. Okay, you notice, you might have noticed there it just said quickly loading Kickstart 2.x rebooting system. I think what that's doing is it's loading the Kickstart file from the devs folder on the hard drive into memory and then restarting the computer. Yeah, and then that obviously that allows it to boot directly from the hard drive. Then it's got the required information in ROM, I guess, or well, no, it's RAM, I guess. It's I've got two games. Maybe I got that wrong there. Let me just. Yeah, maybe I'll rename both of them games. I'm not quite sure. Anyway. And there we go. Full 3.1 installation. Okay, so next video, I think, if I can get everything sorted, is might do a video on installing a CD-ROM. But that'll be the next mission. So there you go. There's the operating system installation for an Amiga 3000. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks a lot for watching.